Start the movie.
So I was watching James's latest episode that he has here. Why is no one talking about this? And he was talking about the YR4 2024 asteroid. It drew my attention because I had just been doing a video about Leviathan, and I came across this one part when I was discussing Leviathan, and right here it said that a star fell from heaven, burning as if it was a lamp, and it fell upon a third of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. A star, to me, sounds like a meteorite or an asteroid, and I had just covered this in my video about Lilith and Samuel, so if you haven't watched that, I highly suggest it. But either way, Wormwood, that's the one that the Bible says we need to be worried about. So I asked Google what meteorite Wormwood would be. Wormwood is reference to a star in the Bible's book of Revelation, while Apophis is the name of an asteroid that was once thought to have a chance of hitting Earth. What I really found interesting is how it says 999. 999 is considered a sign of completion, transformation, and new beginnings. Completion, the end of a phase of your life. Transformation, the beginning of a new phase, such as a shift in your path of life or beliefs. 42. Shattered Paradise gets into 42 quite a bit.
Join us as we continue to crack the code and uncover the Illuminati's playbook, an ancient prophecy that is said to have been written by Nephilim, which parallels a biblical prophecy that we now see coming to pass right before our eyes.
42.
42.
42.
The CDC allows for some wiggle room in the time frame between the two doses, and that it's okay for the second dose to be given 42 days after the first dose.
The esoteric meaning of 42, the tesseract, the magic cube, and many hidden ancient traditions. 42 symbolizes a gateway, a portal, or a door that leads to profound transformation and change.
In the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead, souls trapped in the underworld would have to recite 42 negative confessions to Osiris in order to cross the boundary from the underworld into paradise. So in this case, 42 represents the doorway from death to life.
In binary code, the sum of 42 is 101010, positive and negative, black and white, duality. So because the value of the number is 1 and 0, positive and negative, just as much as the number can be used to represent life, it can also be used to represent death.
For the Illuminists, 42 is a symbol of rebellion, and as we know, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft.
And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
So we had the number of completion, and then transformation. Completion and transformation. Point is, everyone's worried about this one. Let's hear what James has to say here.
But what if everything fails? So if everything fails, we'll have a good idea of the strike zone of the asteroid, which is not a planet killer. Whew, that's good. Here is the size of this asteroid, and it's about 90 meters wide. Metaball Studios YouTube channel, they have an impact simulation of a meteor this size. Let's take a look at what happens. Okay, that's bad. I was expecting something really worse, but that's bad. That's already very bad.
So as you can see, James is saying how this one here, this 2024 YR4 would be bad. It would take out quite a bit of a city. But we are given this name right here, Apophis. They're saying that it was 450 meters long and 170 meters wide. This one was only 90 meters long and 40 meters wide. That's the one that they were worried about, the one that will take out a small city. Imagine what this one will do. This one is nearly 5 times bigger. Radar observations of Apophis in March 2021 ruled out an impact for at least the next 100 years. Apophis is expected to safely pass close enough to Earth in 2029, within 19,794 miles of our planet's surface. Only 20,000 miles. Do you realize how close that is? Our moon is 239,000 miles away from Earth. This asteroid is going to come 20,000 miles away from Earth. That's like a 1/12 of this. Let's read up on this. I want to talk about how close this thing is to hitting Earth and why they say it won't hit for at least another 100 years. 99942 Apophis is a near-Earth asteroid and a potentially hazardous object, 450 meters long by 170 meters wide, that caused a brief period of concern in December 2004 when initial observations indicated a probability of 2.7 that would hit Earth on Friday, April 13th, 2029. Additional observations provided improved predictions that eliminated the possibility of the impact on Earth in 2029. A small possibility nevertheless remained that during its 2029 close encounter with Earth, Apophis would pass through a gravitational keyhole estimated to be 800 meters in diameter, which would have set it up for future impact exactly 7 years later on Easter Sunday, April 13th, 2036. Boy, they like April 13th. For some reason. This is like on an exact date that if it's not going to hit in 2029, it would hit on the same day 7 years later. April 13th. I don't know what that's about. All I know is that they're saying that this is going to pass through a gravitational keyhole that is going to pull it closer to Earth every time it does it. During the short time when it had been the greatest of concern, Apophis set the record for highest rating ever on the Toronto scale, reaching level 4 on December 27th, 2004. Why has nobody been talking about this one? It's named after an Egyptian god of chaos. Its numbers are for completion and transformation. And when I looked up the name for Wormwood, it's the one that they talked about. And Wormwood is the star that they say falls right before the Antichrist is revealed. Am I the only one that thinks that's kind of sus? Anyways, let's continue reading here. Simulations in 2013 showed that the Yarkovsky effect might cause Apophis to hit a keyhole in 2029, so that it will come closer to Earth in 2051, and then it could hit another keyhole and then hit Earth in 2068. But the chance of the Yarkovsky effect having exactly the right value for this was estimated at 2 in 1 million. Wow, I like them odds, though. That's more than 1 in a million. You know, it's actually got 2 in a million. Radar observations March 2021 helped to refine the orbit, and in March 2021, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory announced that Apophis was no chance of impacting Earth in the next 100 years. The uncertainty of the 2029 approach distance has been reduced from hundreds of kilometers to now just a couple of kilometers. The approach distance has been reduced from hundreds of kilometers to now just a couple of kilometers, greatly enhancing predictions of future approaches. Apophis will continue to be a threat possibility for thousands of years until it has been removed from potentially hazardous, for instance by passing close to Venus or Mars, or just hitting the Earth. You gave it a very interesting name. Google AI was the one who drew this conclusion, so you ask and you shall receive the answers on that one. Right here it says that Apophis, known as Apep, is an Egyptian god who is before personified as chaos and darkness and was the enemy of the sun god Ra. He was depicted as a giant serpent. He was the primary demon of the night. He threatened the underworld and symbolized evil, just like how Leviathan threatens the light and symbolizes evil. He was the opponent of light and Mea, order and truth. Apophis is visible to the naked eye from parts of Europe, Africa, and Asia. This flyby is an extremely rare natural phenomenon. Massive asteroid named after the god of chaos, Apophis, will safely pass Earth tonight, but could collide. Experts warn it could collide with our planet in 2068. 2068, or in the next 100 years. Either way, it's getting closer. It's right here, as you can see. This is the Apophis. This is the shard from Dubai. That's how big this thing is. We can see it's even taller. It's bigger than the Eiffel Tower. NASA says Earth is safe from Apophis for at least 100 years. At least 100 years. No worries. We got it. I ain't worried about this. I will be dead by the time this happens. Most likely I will be dead by the time any of this stuff happens too. So I'm really not too concerned about it. What I am concerned about is the fact that all this stuff happens after the Four Horsemen, and that is kind of where I'm at. Where you're at. Where we're all at. The name of Wormwood. Here's meteorite Wormwood. Here's Apophis. They're telling us, don't worry about this one for at least another 100 years. And they just so happen to name it after a god of chaos. They've given it the name completion and transformation. And NASA, it's even got the serpent tongue in its name. The whole red things in the symbol. See right here? There's a snake tongue. And there's Ouroboros, snake eating its tail. Leviathan. And what they name it after? The Egyptian god personified as chaos and darkness. The enemy of the sun god Ra, a serpent. Who's Leviathan? The one that will bring the beast that will bring about the apocalypse. Yahweh Yeshua. Demonstrate that it was born out the Ra, usually from his umbilical cord. So the darkness isn't older than the light. The light came before the darkness. Darkness wants us to think that in the beginning it was darkness and then came the light. No, there was light and then there was darkness. See also Leviathan, Satan, Apophis, Ouroboros, the ancient serpent, Yogminder, the other serpent right there, known as the Midgard serpent, Ouroboros, the snake eating his tail, mighty python, Leviathan, snake goddess, Leviathan, sea serpent demon noted by theology and mythology, Satan because he's known as the serpent, Samuel the serpent, the husband of Lilith. Lilith is the whore of Babylon. They don't hide it from you. You just have to dig for it if you want it. If you want it, it's right there for you. All you have to do is just dig. It's right there. They didn't bury it very far. They don't bury anything very far. It's just right there. It's like a lottery ticket. You just gotta scratch off the gray and get to the lotto numbers, and then boom, it's right there. None of this stuff is hard to find. You just have to want to look for it. If you don't look for it, you ain't gonna find it. Sun god Ra, in the form of the great cat, slays the snake. Yeah. Except for I don't think it's getting slayed this time. It's all biblical prophecy, my friends. Biblical prophecy. Yahweh Yeshua. The current brightness magnitude of Apophis is typically around magnitude 20, meaning it is only visible with large telescopes and is not visible to the naked eye. However, when it makes its close approach to Earth, its brightness can increase to around magnitude 16. Making it potentially visible with powerful binoculars or smaller telescopes, depending on the observation conditions. And it says here, usual brightness is around magnitude 20. The closest approach brightness can reach magnitude 16. I was like, so the lesser the number, the brighter it is? So in astronomy, magnitude is a scale that measures how bright a star or another celestial object is. The scale is backwards, so that the brighter objects have smaller magnitudes. So the brightest stars have a magnitude of 1 and the faintest stars have a magnitude of 6. So the lower the number, the brighter the star, or the brighter the reflection. So it's magnitude of 20. On close approach, it's got a magnitude of 16. On BBC's Sky at Night magazine, a potentially hazardous asteroid is defined as a space rock with a size larger than 140 meters, or a brightness of magnitude plus 22 or more. And this one, on close approach, is 16. Right here is the 2013 Russian meteorite that exploded over western Russia.
The eyes of the world today stunned by this image. This was debris from a meteor racing toward Earth, streaking across the sky there, crashing into the ground in those woods. And look at some of the other images emerging tonight. The cloudy trail the meteor produced, and on impact, this, carving a little pool into a frozen lake. It's the biggest meteor in more than a century to hit the planet. This one crashed in Russia. 1,000 people were injured from shards of flying glass and debris. Tonight here, we have learned there was no warning. More on that from NASA in just a moment here, but we begin with ABC's Kirat Radia in Moscow.
It came out of nowhere, a bright speck in the sky, soon streaking across the horizon, followed by an almost apocalyptic scene, a blinding flash of light, and then all hell broke loose. Dizzying explosions shattering windows, knocking these office workers to the ground. These students were lucky, protected by curtains from the flying glass, and these men barely escaped the blast. In the streets, pandemonium. Terrified residents thought the world was ending. People started to panic. Somebody screamed, "The end of the earth," he says. The chaos of the meteor was captured on cell phones and on dashboard cameras of cars, so popular here in Russia. The blast was so powerful it knocked down a wall at this factory. In all, over 1,200 people were injured, mostly from broken glass. 3,000 buildings damaged, over 1 million square feet of glass shattered. Many were injured after going to the window to check out the flash in the sky. The glass shattered and bounced back on me. My beard was cut open, this man says. The meteor was believed to be about 50 feet wide, weighing a whopping 7,700 tons. It raced towards Earth at over 40,000 miles per hour. As it crashed into the atmosphere, it began to break into pieces, causing those booms and sending those powerful shockwaves towards the ground, rocking a zone stretching hundreds of miles away, those shockwaves causing all of the damage. As for the pieces of the meteor, one of the bigger chunks landing here, leaving that massive hole in the frozen lake. Tonight, about 20,000 Russian troops are headed to the affected area. They'll be helping those residents who are struggling without windows. Temperatures are expected to drop well below zero overnight. Meanwhile, Russian television coverage has been going wall to wall with what some commentators said looked like a scene out of an action movie. David?
Kirit Radia leading us off from Moscow tonight. Kirit, thank you. And this, of course, comes just as last night here we told you about the asteroid barreling toward Earth. That was something completely different, not to be confused with this meteor. Today, the asteroid was in fact streaming toward Earth, and as predicted, it missed us this afternoon by about 17,000 miles, but that was still pretty close. And so tonight, we wanted to bring in Amy Meinzer, an astrophysicist. She joins us from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory there in California. Amy, thanks for being here. And when we saw those images out of Russia today, we all wondered, could this happen here?
It's possible that such an event could happen again. This was actually the largest fireball that we've seen in a long time, since about 1908. But there could be others that happen that we just don't see because they happen over the ocean or over someplace that's not populated.
This image caught our eye, too. Look at this. This is the Earth here. All of those dots are space debris up there. 21,000 pieces orbiting the Earth. That's a lot of stuff not too far away.
Yeah, that's right. So there is a lot of space junk out there, and we're working really hard to track it and you know, keep showing where it's going to go and what's going to happen to it. In most cases, though, these bits of space debris will, you know, kind of fall down and they'll be just burned up in the Earth's atmosphere. So most of the time, they're completely harmless to us.
So most of the time, harmless. But we knew that asteroid was barreling toward Earth. You predicted that it would miss us.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, there was no warning in Russia about this meteor that suddenly blinded all those drivers there on the road. So what are we to think of that?
Yeah, that's right. The object that came into Russia about a day ago, that was about maybe a third the size of the asteroid that passed us by. It's pretty small, actually, as these things go. It was about 15 meters across. That's about the size of 2 parked vans end to end. And because it was so small, it would have been very faint and very hard for astronomers to see from the ground.
We know you all have your eyes trained on these particles 24 hours a day, so please thank the team for us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
That was from 2013. The 18-meter asteroid weighed 9,000 tons. The explosion created a shockwave equivalent to 33 times the energy released from the atomic bomb at Hiroshima. 33 times the atomic bomb at Hiroshima. What? That was only 18 meters and only weighed 9,000 tons. This guy here, he's coming in at 450 long, 170 wide, and he is weighing in at 20 million tons. And this one here that was equivalent, the shockwave equivalent to 33 times an atomic bomb from Hiroshima, was only weighing 9,000 tons. 20 million divided by 9,000, we'll give you the extra 100 too, because you're going to need it. That is 2,197 times bigger. That's 2,200. We're rounding up on this. Just like they do our taxes, we're rounding up, baby. 2,200 times bigger this buddy is. Why is nobody talking about this one? I asked what type of asteroid is most dangerous, and AI actually came up with the same one that was in the video from James, where it's talking about the 2024 YR4, which has a relatively high chance of impacting Earth. Apophis, previously considered one of the most dangerous asteroids due to its close approach to Earth, but current calculations have lowered the impact risk. And apparently, it only weighs 200,000 tons. This weighs 20 million. And if we continue on with the BBC Skynight article that I was reading earlier, it says these are NASA's top 5 biggest asteroid threats and how likely they are to hit the Earth. Apophis isn't on here. I don't see the 99942 anywhere here. Do you? Me neither. The top 5. And here they are. They're saying that Apophis won't hit for another century. Like, we don't have to worry about for at least another 100 years. Well, the year potential impact here, that's over 100 years from now. That's 800 years, 850 years from now. So everybody will be dead by then, by the time that ever happens. That's over 100 years. That was last year, so that didn't happen. Here's over 100 years for all these guys. Over 100 years, and at least for another 100 years. But yet it's not a priority. Why are they downplaying it? Like, no one's talking about it. They just downplay it. Why? It's going to hit a keyhole and get closer and closer and closer. And then eventually it'll come close enough to probably hit Earth. Thus the reason why it's named. For judgment, completion, transformation, and new beginnings. Not only that, but if you turn it upside down, you get 666, which is Mark of the Beast. So it will bring about the beast. Like I was reading from Revelations, it's part of the beast, the seals that will come about, the things that will happen on this earth before the beast takes power over the world and deceives everyone, deceives all people. Because you have to think that we will go through all these volcano eruptions, earth upheaval, and floods at biblical scales, mud floods at biblical scales, landslides, earthquakes, volcanoes, which are all happening, guys. Like, it's all happening. You got Hunga Tunga just went off a couple years ago. Santorini is getting active because they've had over 300 earthquakes in the last month. You got earthquakes happening off the coast of Oregon with an underwater volcano. I'm showing you these volcanoes for the Leviathan, the 7 mountains of the mouth. They have been active, and they haven't been active for who knows how long. Why are all these volcanoes all of a sudden just awakening? They were dormant, and now they're awakening. The beast is rising. The beast system is rising. Hell on earth. The pictures that we have of hell with the fire and brimstone, why wouldn't it be hell on earth if the beast is coming out? The beast is rising. In the next 100 years. For those of you who are non-believers, you can party on, John Wayne, all you want. That's what it tells you to do. Eat, drink, and be merry. Go out there, fornicate, throw your parties, man. Because in the next 100 years, you may or may not die of a volcano eruption, or who knows. Either way, just know that everything that you acquire in this world, you can't take with you to the grave. You can't take it with you to hell. You're not going to bring it up to you in heaven. The material is what grounds you to this place. Why would you want to be grounded to this place? If you want to get to heaven, you need to free yourself of the material. You need to become ungrounded to this material mindset, the ego-driven materialistic mindset. We have to learn to do with just the essentials, like just enough. If I have clothes on my back, I have enough. If I have food in my cupboards to eat every day, I have enough. If I have the ability to communicate with people, then I have enough. Like, yes, I deserve abundance, but I am happy and content with enough. I don't need a Gucci bag. I don't need a Lamborghini. I don't need a $400 million mansion. Imagine if you have a bunch of money. How would you ever be able to tell if anybody's real or fake with you? Yeshua said it would be easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. So acquire, and party on, John Wayne. Do whatever you got to do, man. Just know that some of us that actually see this and take it as a sign, know that even if we don't know the time or the day, Yeshua said, I will come like a thief in the night. I've made my own predictions on when I think this stuff will happen. I think by the 70s we will be through all the 4 horsemen and the boat is going to start get rocked. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be rocked in the next 30 years. I think a lot of crazy shit, but all I can tell you is that only if you were looking would you find this. The only reason why I found it was because I asked what was the Wormwood. I also want to bring on this point too. What is a planet killer asteroid? A planet killer asteroid is a large space rock that could cause catastrophic damage if it hit the Earth. These asteroids are typically over 1 kilometer in diameter. 1 kilometer in diameter. So I asked, how many meters are in a kilometer? Well, there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. And remember what this was? 450 meters long. So it's almost half that. Half a kilometer. 1 kilometer is a planet killer. It could cause catastrophic damage if it hits the Earth. It's half that size. Then a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them were darkened. A third of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. Plus you have all sorts of volcanic activity happening right here. All these volcanoes going off. Then you had the Wormwood, the Apophis, which is big enough to be a half planet destroyer. So if that hits the Earth and then you have a bunch of volcanoes going off, that would make sense why a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, that it was all darkened and the day did not shine. Likewise the night. Because there was so much dirt and dust and just all this stuff thrown up into the atmosphere. What's it going to do? It's going to darken everything. I'm not trying to scare anybody here. I'm just reading what I'm told, and that's why I'm playing it cool too, is just because I know that we have a bunch of time before this comes about. My objective is to get myself ready for that day spiritually, and 2, teach you all, because anybody that has kids, it's our kids and our grandkids. That is a time of which all the people that are left on the earth after this happens will be so upset with God that anybody that says anything about God is going to be blasphemized, because everybody is going to be like, screw God, where was God, what did God do? Because how many people are going to lose loved ones? How many people are going to lose their kids, lose their homes, lose everything, right? So they're going to be jacked up on emotions, on anger, on hatred, on pride, on greed, on envy. We're going to be fighting over what's left, whatever's left. People are going to be fighting over it. And if you're the one that's carrying the light at that point in time, you are going to be blasphemized. But my point is that there are certain chosen few who are going to understand all this like I do, who are going to believe in all this, who are going to see it for what it is. I'm not making any of this stuff up. I'm showing you what's coming up on the internet. I'm not lying to you. It's right there for you all to see, just like I do. I'm not trying to make any extraordinary claims. I'm not pulling stuff out of my ass. I'm telling you, this is one of the closest, the deadliest asteroids, and it's only going to get closer. And it's got 2020. Wow. 2020 vision too, huh? 2020. That's why they're building all these bunkers. That's why they're going underground. That's why they spend all this money dumping all these millions of dollars to hide themselves underneath the rocks. Little do they know that it even says that they will hide in the rocks, they will hide in the mountains, and they will beg for the stones to come down on their heads because they fear the wrath of God. Just know that it's time to start getting right with God, yeah, people. And just so you know, the name of God is Yahweh. The Jews hid this stuff from us for the longest time, but it's been getting out slowly. God's name is Yahweh. If you're sitting there and you're praying to God every day, you're like, oh God, oh God, oh God, God of the Bible, God this, God that. You know how many gods there have been in the world? If you're talking to our Father, the creator of all things, it is Yahweh. Rolls right off the tongue. It feels beautiful when you say it too. Yahweh. And the real name of the Christ, Jesus, is Yeshua, not Jesus. Jesus was just a fame that they threw at us so that way we couldn't really get close to the truth. Yeshua is Christ Yahweh is God. If you want to get right with them, you need to say the right names. Or if you're really stuck on that mindset and you declare that Jesus is his real name, then you got to say Christ, Jesus Christ. That's the only way that you have to say the full name, Christ. I'm done with this. Illuminati out, and all praise be to Yahweh and Yeshua for showing me all this stuff and helping me make this video. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be talking to you, and you wouldn't be here either. Everything is divinely guided, friends. All praise be to Yahweh Yeshua.